Hello, Greg.
Hello, Helene. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Could you please tell me how you learned your job as a first AC? Did you go to any kind of school?
I did. When I was in high school in Southern California, my high school had a 4-year film program that I took full advantage of. That's where I fell in love with it. And then for college, I went to university to a major film school, got a degree in cinema, and got multiple degrees in business as well. And that was because of my father. My father, who was a businessman, made it a condition. In order to go to film school, I had to go to business school as well. And it was the greatest advice ever.
Did you learn to be a cinematographer back then?
When I was in college, I did want to be a cinematographer. That was my goal. But as I learned more about the real industry, at least the Hollywood industry, I realized that I was not an artist. I was not creative enough. And the technical logistical side appealed to me much more. And that had first assistant cameraman written all over it. So by the time I was 18 and still in college, I started working as a first AC on commercials and smaller projects as I was gaining valuable experience and honing my craft. And then by the time I was 21 years old, I was an A-camera first AC in motion pictures and television in Hollywood.
It's kind of fast, isn't it? So you didn't have long years of trainee and then second AC?
I probably should have, but no, it didn't go that way for me. I'm the type of personality that dives into things head first, and I have a take no prisoners attitude about things, so I was driven. But I didn't have the time in, I didn't have the experience, so I was learning quickly, and I made several mistakes along the way, but that's how I did it. I started in television at Universal Television, Warner Brothers, for about the first 5 years of my career. And then by the mid-'80s, like 1984, I switched over to theatrical feature films. That's where I wanted to be, and I've been there ever since.
Do you remember if you learned anything useful in university about lenses?
Well, back in my college days, the equipment was older. It was not the most modern variety of lenses, but the lenses we had to make work. And if they broke or mechanically failed, we had to fix them ourselves. So I learned a lot about optics in college. But after that, after my professional career began, Panavision was very instrumental at the time, back in the 80s, of my lens education. I think it was in the 90s when I got very involved in anamorphic cinematography. All my jobs were anamorphic at the time. I altered Panavision lenses mechanically and aesthetically to create 2 sets of lenses that Panavision reserved in my name. So I was the only one that used them. And that was months of development, working behind the scenes with their optics department to get 2 sets of perfectly matched anamorphic lenses that I kept with me from job to job. 2013, I did a movie called Interstellar, where we built all the lenses from scratch.
It was IMAX, right?
It was 35 millimeter film anamorphic, as well as 65 millimeter IMAX. And we built all the lenses for both formats. So every lens was basically a prototype. Some of them we ran out of time. I had a 13-week camera prep on that movie, and we still ran out of time getting all the lenses finished. So some of them had camera tape with my handwriting on the focus ring and iris ring, and that's how we did the whole movie, not anodized at all. But you know what? The optics worked, and the movie was beautiful. And that was really where I got started, building lenses custom for every movie that I did that had the capabilities of allowing me to do that. And that's where Larry Sher came in. And we build all the lenses for every movie now.
We'll get back to Larry Sher, obviously, because it's a really important chapter of your career, but of modern cinema as well, I would say.
Yes.
About just the two lens set that you built back in the days with Panavision. Can you explain to me why you needed to build the set? What was not enough, or what didn't work with what you had?
When you rent lenses from a camera rental house, you have a set of lenses for that particular job, and then you return them afterwards, and they're gone. All the work you did to them was just for that specific time, and for the next job, I'd have to start over and do it all again. So it made sense to me that if I can have someone like Panavision, an entity, work with me, I wanted to develop two sets of lenses, an A camera and a B camera set, complete, of matching anamorphic lenses, matching in terms of color, contrast, flaring, just doing it so they were a good set of anamorphic lenses that I can carry from movie to movie and not have to keep repeating this exercise over and over. And Panavision was very gracious enough to work with me on that. I had those sets of lenses for many years, going from show to show. And, there was a day when those lenses stopped being useful. Things change, tastes change. The artistry of cinematography changes. So the requirements change.
You said that you basically built the lens from scratch.
Yes.
Is it really from scratch, or you customized them?
There were times we built lenses from scratch, like the anamorphic lenses for Interstellar. The physics of the optics were limited in their capabilities. If you wanted to have a fast lens for low light conditions, you would have a minimum focus that was pretty far away, at least 3 feet or a meter. So you had to trade off lens speed for close focus. If you wanted a close focus lens, then it was a slow lens. Yeah. So for Interstellar, our goal was to overcome that and create a fast, close focus anamorphic lens. And that was a lot of research, a lot of design. Ironically, I believe, and I'm pretty sure I'm right about this, Zeiss was creating their master anamorphics during that same time period. Yeah. And they were creating the same ultimate goal of close focus and speed. And I've used those lenses and I like them very much. In that movie, close-ups were a 40 millimeter anamorphic lens inside of 2 feet. And that was Christopher Nolan's style. And we're handheld quite a bit or remote. Yeah, close and wide.
What happened to those lenses, so to the Interstellar lenses? Are they still around?
Those exact lenses have probably been manipulated many times, but Panavision came out shortly after with the T-series anamorphic lenses, and that was the end result of all of our work for Interstellar.
When you created those two lens sets in the 90s with Panavision, were you picking amongst very different kind of sets, or?
Yeah, I went into Panavision for probably 2 months in advance, and I got every anamorphic lens that was available to me. They were the old C series, B series, D series, and E series anamorphic lenses. The letters are an indicator of how old the series. Yeah. And so I just took, what would be a complete set of all the focal lengths, and it was a mishmash of different generations. After we went through our initial testing and chose the best of the best for each focal length out of the whole pool of lenses, then that's when the real work began, and we stripped them apart. I upgraded the prime elements, which is the main engine of a lens. My goal was to control the flaring and the internal reflections that can happen inside a lens barrel with anamorphic lenses, really with any lenses. There was a whole team of people, professionals, doing the work, and we created a very well-matching set of different generations, but in the end, it looked like one complete matching set. Anamorphic lenses usually have a fall-off around a center elliptical, and that's kind of the beauty of the format. Bad anamorphics not only have too much fall-off, but they have low resolution in the center. Some lenses are warmer, some lenses are cooler. Contrast is all over the place. Even the exposure, if you read the exposures literally, a 5.6 on each lens was a different light level. It was all over the place. And I thought, no, we can't have that. I want that consistent. I want a 5.6 to be a real 5.6 on all of the lenses. So we went to work on that and made a lot of corrections. And now I have no idea where those lenses are, if they even exist anymore.
Since you are talking about creating a bespoke lens set for each movie, right? And each cinematographer you work with, I think it's the right time to talk about your collaboration with Larry Sher.
We did a comedy called I Love You, Man. That was my first job with Larry. That's where we met. And then The Hangovers, of course. And then we got separated for a couple movies because we were just running in different circles, and then reunited not too long afterwards. But now I make myself available for Larry. We're a team. Honestly, he involves me in every level. His style of cinematography is very aggressive. The camera is always moving, always changing perspective, moving in, moving out, sliding across. His goal is to have the lightest weight camera build possible, even though we shoot all the time now with the Alexa 65, which is inherently a heavy camera body. Yeah. The lenses are a big part of that. He wants physically small lenses, lightweight, very close focus, and very fast, covering the Alexa 65 sensor without vignetting. Then we got Joker with Todd Phillips, who we did all the Hangovers and other pictures with. And the goal there was to be extremely shallow depth of field and have an extremely mobile camera, because we knew Joaquin Phoenix was going to improv the majority of his performance, and that we would be reacting in real time to that performance. We shot the whole movie between a 1.3 and a T2. And we had to be able to do that and push into some of those incredible close-ups that really exposed his character and the emotion of the movie. How do you do that?
Yeah.
We went through Airy Rental in New York, and I asked, who is the head of your lens department? I was told it was an individual named Radamus. So I called Radamus. I said, we are a spherical 1.85 format movie. We're Alexa 65, and our lens choices are going to be very limited. How do you feel about teaming up and creating a lens set from existing lenses in this case, but manipulating them so they won't vignette and that they will match? His response was, well, I'm not sure. I've never done that before. I said, that's okay. Neither have I.
How much time did you have to do that?
We did the lenses in about 6 or 7 weeks. I started off with somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 spherical prime lenses. It just became a massive process of elimination. So it became apparent that numerous lenses were just not going to work because they vignetted too much and they didn't check all the boxes. Second step of elimination, those that could possibly work, were they close focus enough? If not, could we make them closer focus? Was the color, resolution, physical size and weight of the lenses going to work with the parameters that Larry gave me? The nose, we got rid of. And in the end, I believe it was a set of 21 lenses from wide to tight. Everything optically is a trade-off. If you do this, you're going to give up this. So what is most important to you? We shot the movie really with 6 lenses in the end. You know, we used all of them at some point, but the majority were the middle range lenses, again, wider, closer. And we got an Oscar nomination and an ASC nomination out of it. So I believe it was mission accomplished.
Did you go with the same set of exactly the same lenses for Joker 2?
No, not even close. One of the focal lengths, which was one of Larry's favorite, was a Nikon 58 millimeter. That's his favorite lens, and that probably is the hardest lens to pull focus on. It's very unforgiving, but we had that exact lens on the sequel. So that was the only lens that did both. We did another movie called Black Adam, where I worked with P&S Technic to create the old Technovision look for anamorphics. They came out with the Technovision anamorphic primes and zooms. And I was very instrumental with Gerhard working to get those into a condition that we would like. And the advantage I had working on that was I had used the original Technovision anamorphic lenses. So I knew what they looked like and I knew what the problems were. So we had to overcome those challenges to create a modern cinema lens, performance-wise, with a vintage look.
Would you be able to put words on what is it that you call the vintage Technovision look? When you worked on it for Black Adam, what did you look for?
Technovision had a very unique distortion to their lenses and flaring to their lenses. That was our reference.
Okay.
They're not as sharp as other lenses. You know, the image is sharp, but it has a softness to the image that was very unique. Because if you're trying to recreate a vintage lens in a modern cinema technology, you have to take the good with the bad. If there is any bad, you know, it's all in the eye of the artist, what is good and what is bad. So, you know, we couldn't shoot as fast, low light, but that just goes with the territory. And we know that, so we build that into our game plan for the look of the movie. It's a team effort.
Team effort.
Cinematography is a team sport.
Yes, I would love that to be written on T-shirts and signs everywhere. Do you think it's easier to become a focus puller today because you have monitors?
I don't know if it's easier. It's a different discipline. I think it was like 2012 when I did my first digital movie. And I didn't know what I was doing. And that was a whole new world. It wasn't easy at first because you're not used to being separated from the perspective of the camera to the subject, to the actor or whatever. It takes a lot of practice, but I like the fact that we know instantly that we got the shot in focus, but also the artistry of the shot. Having said that, the whole new generation of focus pullers have never done film. This is all they know. What happens when that technology fails and you don't have the foundation of the basics of focus pulling without technology? I think that would be very terrifying for a lot of young focus pullers. For us veterans, maybe it wouldn't be as comfortable, but we'd be able to do it.
So is it something that you would like your upcoming participants to your focus on camera program to do? Are you going to put them in situations where they have none of the modern tools and do it by eye?
Yes. I mean, Focus on Camera is a program for all assistant cameramen. It's a 2-day course. The first day is all about focus pulling to elevate your skill and confidence as a focus puller. We want you to have confidence to do it the old-fashioned way for when that technology is not available or if it fails, that you are not going to be rattled as a focus puller. The second day is based on the business of the camera department. How do we increase your business skills, negotiating your deals better, having the confidence to actually negotiate with a producer and not just accept whatever figure they're offering you?
How are you going to do this in 2 days?
I think we cover enough that we don't bog you down with too much information. I have been to seminars and workshops for our craft in camera, cinematography, over the years. I've also conducted them for the Society of Operating Cameramen. My issue with most of these workshops is simple. We teach you the craft, but basically we don't tell you what to do with that knowledge afterwards, how to implement it, how to put it to work for yourself. And that's where Focus on Camera is very different. And that's where the business side of the course comes in, because we provide you with paths to take all this great craft knowledge and turn it into a career. That's the goal. You want to make a living at doing your favorite thing in the world.